much again, Diana. As Diana said, I am a professor at the Norwegian University of Science and Technology, and some people call me Norway's first VR professor, and VR stands for virtual reality. And today I'm going to talk about how immersive technologies, which are the umbrella term for virtual and augmented reality, VR and AR, can be used for learning, especially in the context of COVID-19 pandemic that we unfortunately all of us suffering under. I am leading a research group and lab called IMTEL, Innovative Immersive Technologies for Learning. And here you see some images from our lab. Our lab is a top modern and unique innovative learning area and research facilities where we have the latest of VR and AR equipment that we experiment with. And at our lab, we develop VR and AR applications for learning in different subjects such as mathematics, language, climate change, history, and medicine, together with teachers, specialists, researchers, stakeholders from public sector and industry. We have a very cross-disciplinary environment where we have students from different research areas and departments working together on developing these apps and also evaluating them in educational situations. At our lab, we also do a lot of dissemination activities. We run innovation days where we present how immersive technologies can be used for learning and training with international and local experts, and open doors at the lab where public can try out the technology. We used to have, before the pandemic, up to 50 visitors per day, over 100 per week. And some people came to our lab specifically to learn about our experiences. We even had delegations from Romania, from Timișoara, actually. At the moment, of course, we have to be more careful because of the pandemic, but we still receive visitors now mostly from local schools, local municipality, local companies, though again, where we have much lower activity, physical activities, and we try to switch to online events and try to do innovation days virtually. This is an example of some of our activities, just some screenshots of our virtual and augmented reality apps. This is a project we do for Norwegian Labour and Welfare Administration, where young job seekers can try out different professions and get career guidance, also collaboratively with other job seekers and counselors, in this case in a car workshop. Here we worked together with Gunnerus Library and created an immersive visualization of historical manuscripts to engage young people on the topic of history, where we can actually go back in time and visit cities, how the way they were in, for example, 15th century. You can visit Mars in VR and at the same time learn geometry and mathematics. You can experience with some of our apps how the city of Trondheim, where I live, can look like after sea level rise and climate change. You can experience it directly on your body. And one of our apps, we use augmented reality for training neurosurgeons to perform a medical procedure, where you actually, with the holograms, you can increase visualization of anatomy and guide the surgeons in their injection procedure. This is an example of our dissemination activities before the pandemic. As you can see, we could get visits from schools, international delegations. This is Norwegian Armed Forces. And we still continue with that in quite limited numbers and with new strict hygiene routines. We have actually developed three-step hygiene routines for our lab to create a safe experience. A part of course, visiting a number of visitors to keep 1 meter between all visitors as the official recommendations from Norwegian health authorities. We also wipe all headsets and everything that is touched with alcoholic wipes, which is recommended by our public health authorities. In addition, we use disposable masks worn under the headsets, and we also use UVC treatment of headsets that is supposed to kill 99.99% of COVID-19 viruses. So we take safety very seriously. Why should we use virtual and augmented reality for learning and training, especially during pandemic? I have previously giving a similar lecture when visiting Diana's e-learning center about using VR and AR, virtual and augmented reality for in an ordinary situation. But I believe that during pandemic, the importance of this technology would be even greater, especially for the ability to provide a remote interactive learning in rich and situated context. I believe many of you have tried teaching your classes via Zoom, Teams, and similar tools during the pandemic, and you all have experienced that such teaching have certain limitations. It's not very interactive. Your students can't actually touch the object. They can't work in the lab. They can just passively listen in most cases. That's why these technologies can be very useful during the pandemic, because they can support collaboration in shared flexible learning environments with the highest sense of presence. In VR or AR, you can develop quickly virtual classrooms that look exactly the way you want them to look, where also students often have a higher sense of presence and engagement as opposed to, for example, Zoom. And in such environments, you can work with advanced 3D visualizations, for example, this case, a human heart that you can touch, that you can give to somebody else. You can study from different angles. Uh, Especially important is the ability of these environments to create a simulation of situations and phenomena that are too expensive, dangerous, or difficult to explore otherwise. In my previous lectures, I normally use the example of Mars as an example, where you can train growing food on Mars, which is obviously very not possible to do in real life at the moment. But in the context of the pandemic, going to a neighboring country could be sometimes as difficult as going to Mars. But with virtual and augmented reality, you can actually create experiences for students, for example, virtual field trips, where you can take them, for example, to go to the bottom of the oceans. You can take them to Great Barrier Reef, to Australia, which is now closed for visitors. Or you can even maybe take them to go on some hiking trips to Norway, which also has imposed restricted access in its borders without having to sit in the quarantine and without experience situations when you go somewhere and you get stuck there because of canceled flights and all other restrictions. So it's the area of virtual tourism and virtual field trips is really gaining momentum today during the pandemic, and you can actually create not very expensive field trips for students using these technologies. Also, you can perform role-playing practice in realistic working environments to enable workplace training so that your students, for example, in vocational training can uh, practice in realistic simulated workplace environments before, instead of going to physical workplaces that some maybe wouldn't be able because of the pandemic. Also, as all of you have experienced, maybe many students have felt being excluded during the pandemic and experienced some mental health issues because of the teaching methods through Zoom and similar. And with virtual and augmented reality, you can actually, in many cases, improve diversity inclusion and allow people to actually be in virtual shoes of somebody else and maybe better understand how people who are isolated, who have mental health issues, or who have some um, other problems of maybe some who maybe feel like excluded because of their social situation or cultural backgrounds. You can actually put people in this situation and in the virtual shoes and understand their situation better. But also you can use this technology to actually include people in the class by allowing students to come to your virtual classrooms and being a part of the class. I'm now going to talk about some of our experiences, how we used the power of immersive technologies actually to teach our own classes during the pandemic and help our own students, and hopefully this will inspire some of you. We have, even before the COVID-19, worked a lot with supporting collaborative learning with VR. Our university is spread across 3 different campuses, and in a course, we allowed students across these campuses work together in shared classrooms. Every Wednesday, they gathered in VR labs, and they could meet with each other and work together on their assignments. And now we are continuing this work and developed an application for language learning, inclusive language learning, where you can add, you can invite people, in this case, those who have Norwegian as a second language, into typical environments such as a forest. Norwegians love going outdoors, or a cafe, and actually learn language in a situated environment. And now we're planning to use this app for an international European teacher training workshop in a Erasmus project we are running, digital competences for language teachers. And we have developed a desktop application so that those teachers who don't have VR headsets at home also can join and participate. So we say that VR and AR is not always something you use with expensive headsets, but it's also something that is accessible just with your cell phones and with desktop clients. In this case, I say it's desktop VR. Here, there are some examples of how I moved my own teaching in March when the Norwegian government declared a lockdown all over Norway. So I had to teach the rest of my course online, and I moved my course into Mozilla Hubs. It's it's a free environment that you can use both with VR headsets, but also just with your ordinary computer with desktop clients. And students have been very creative. They created their own group rooms where they had meetings, they worked on their projects, and also had some social activities. And the students had really creative and inventive project presentations where they designed environment to be the spirit of their own presentation and the project they've been working on. And here's an example from my class. This is myself, and this is our avatars from my students. We had lab meetings again in Mozilla Hubs for our master students. We had to take down all the expensive equipment in our lab and distribute it to the students who have been sitting at their own dormitories all across the city. And this way, continue the research at our lab. Here is another video I want to share with you to show how 2 students work with AR headsets called Magic Leap. Both confined to their dorms, but in this example, they use this technology to build a COVID-19 molecule. And again, they are separated physically, but they work together in this using AR to collaborate.
my living room. And Osk, where are you?
This is another student.
Oh, I'm working remote in my own living room. Right. And we're gonna be remaking or making something similar to the COVID-19 virus. So Usk is going to be showing what it looks like um, when player 2 selects and moves objects around. So first he's going to take out the default sphere from the shelves, scale it up, and we're also going to be using this red screw shape. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to find the scale that we want and duplicate it. And we're basically just going to be placing a bunch of duplicates around on the sphere to mimic the COVID-19 virus shape.
Just jumping forward to see the result.
Usk is going to write COVID-19 next to the COVID model. My living room.
Yes.
Ekaterina, maximum 2 minutes, please.
Okay, so there is another example of career guidance in vocational training. Also, this could be done collaboratively. Again, I maybe not have just a very short video where here is a fish farm. We can kind of experience.
Yeah, show it, no problem.
And also the fish factory. So we have many professions here. There's tablet with task. We have many professions here, but I don't have time to show them all. So maybe next time. Let me see. And finally, an example that where we use HoloLens 2 for remote education of anatomical students. It's a work in progress. So the intention is that the teacher is wearing HoloLens is dissects a holographic red brain. And the students who can't go to the lab physically, they follow this dissection on their mobile phones or desktop clients. And I know these tools are, HoloLens, for example, is used at hospitals in the UK for doctors who treat COVID patients, so that only one doctor goes to the patient and the rest is following him remotely and showing the same that the doctor sees. And this way, the teacher can dissect the brain and show the anatomy, and the students can follow on the screen. And just very shortly, our new projects, we're going to work more about finding out how we can use VR to support rich remote learning in the context of the pandemic. We get a new Erasmus project, inclusive peer learning with augmented reality apps, where we're going to help teachers to to use existing resources to create your own AR apps using both cell phones, but also more advanced devices. And we also work on a new project, a national one, where we are going to create virtual field trips, such as this one, using 360 videos, again, by using low-cost devices, just your phone and a very cheap cardboard VR glasses that it costs maybe €3. And here we already have a similar app for a job interview, where you can put different videos and you can have some interactivity and go through different 360 videos to explore. For example, in this case, this is a job interview, but in the new project, it's going to be virtual field trips. So they are possible to create this experience in a very cheap way with just using your cell phones. You don't need expensive equipment. And we also, as a result of the pandemic, we did some courses, both for unemployed who lost their job as a result of the pandemic with the financial support of the Norwegian government. And we took these people to different online VR environments, such as Outspace VR, Mozilla Hubs, and Verbella. But we also had a continuous education course for leaders from the Norwegian industry to show them how these technologies can be used for advanced learning and training at their organizations. Well, that's basically a very short overview. Again, I could talk for hours about that. We have a lot of projects going on, but if you are interested, please write to me, look at our webpage, and especially follow our Facebook page. It's very frequently updated. And reach out to me if you have any questions.